3 seconds to spare. We're going to call the Village of Almont Village Council meeting for March 18th, 25 to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everybody to Almont Village Township Hall tonight for the next meeting. Thank you for attending. Roll call.
President Dyke.
Present.
President Pro Tem Steffler. Present. Councilmember Feldman.
Present.
Councilmember Glasser. Councilmember Miller. Councilmember Powell.
Present.
Councilmember Schneider.
Present.
Councilmember Miller contacted me this afternoon. He had a family issue to attend to and will not be able to attend the next meeting. Do we have any changes, deletions, or additions to tonight's agenda? Being none, we'll move on to communications. The St. Clair project update from Flees and Vandenbroek. Manager Curbison, would you like to give us a quick overview?
Sure. We have invited the lead engineer here this evening from Flees and Vandenbroek, Jarek Rose, who is sitting in the front row. You've received a tentative timeline. You see that it is a little longer than we expected, but it seems to fall perfectly into a position to get the project done. So anyway, Jarek wanted to come and explain the status of where we're at on his own instead of having me do it. So I would like to introduce Jarek Rose from Flees Vandenbroek.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. All right, good evening. As Dale said, I'm Jarek Rose with Flees and Vandenbroek. I've been working with the administration here for some time now, working on this project back from the initial stages of applying for the grant or applying for the earmark funding, I should say, because we still need to apply for the grant. Being a couple months in, we wanted to put together kind of a milestone schedule so everybody can kind of see where we're at, what we're currently working on, and where we're headed. To date, we've completed the topographic survey mapping. We've contacted the utility companies. We've got all that mapped. We've walked the project with your DPW, trying to confirm a few things from the old historical records, just making sure we have the best data possible. We've progressed to about 30% engineering level, which is a good point to get to when you start looking at the NEPA submittals and the federal cross cutters and applying for the actual submitting the grant application through the EPA. It's submitted through grants.gov. So got to a good point there. Once over the next month, I would say, we'll be working on getting that work plan development. That's about midway down the list here, completing that grant application package, working towards our environmental cross cutters. I anticipate that we can get a categorical exclusion from NEPA, which is a good thing. That saves some time and also saves some money. And then we'll continue progressing towards final engineering and plan review, advertisement, and bidding in the fall. And if everything goes well, and I see this project underway about this time next year, maybe a little bit sooner, if the EPA all cooperates with us and we get the winters of the past versus the last winter.
Let me jump in and say they may not recognize SHPO and some of those other things. So can you explain?
Yeah, they got this is state historic preservation. So it's looking at the historic properties. Historic properties by the definition is 50 years or older. So every single structure along these routes is probably 50 years or older. So we gotta cross that. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, that's looking at threatened and endangered species. We're really not getting into an untouched, undeveloped area. So I don't anticipate any issues there, but we just need to clear all these hurdles that are part of receiving a federal grant. So the current steps, the most important things is to get going on those cross cutters, get the work plan developed, and get the actual grant application submitted in grants.gov, working with the village.
Questions from council?
I have a question. At one point, our manager had mentioned to us the possibility of sort of doing a road diet for St. Clair. Is that still something that we're talking about?
Yeah, the plan for East St. Clair is 2 12-foot lanes, so an eastbound, westbound lane, and then 5-foot bike lanes on both sides. So your total pavement width is 34 feet, which really is just a little bit narrower than what you have out there now. It ends up being about 2 feet narrower on each side.
So are we able to preserve some of the older trees?
That's the plan. Yep. Yep. There's a lot of utilities out there. When we first started this project, I think we wanted to try to get as much of the new utilities out of the road as we could, but unfortunately, that's not going to be much of an option just because of everything else that's out there, including the mature trees. And then as you progress to the east on the north side, you know, those retaining walls and the high sidewalk and some of that stuff that if you start getting into that, you know, we could be there for a long time. I don't know what we're going to find. So that's the goal. You know, so it is going to reduce the footprint of the road, but it's not going to be substantial with doing 12-foot lanes and 5-foot bike lane.
I have one question or request. This information is great because we've been like wondering where everything is, and obviously this project's going to have a high impact on traffic and safety through town and affect several events that go through town throughout the year. Is it possible to get a monthly percentage update on where we're at with expectational percentage and actual percentage on this sheet on a monthly basis for council to have? So when citizens come to us and say, what is the plan? We have more data than just this.
Yeah, we want to make this a living document.
Okay.
By all means, you know, we want to keep this up to date monthly, and that's why they're by the month. So it's not getting down as narrow as a day, but by the month, we definitely want to keep you up to date there. We want to track this too. Because it's,
Any other questions or concerns from council?
Just one question real quick. Is there, I know that we have the plan review and permitting out in August. Is there a plan to do a pre-final design review? Sit down and go over what the plan looks like?
yep, we've got time kind of baked into that right now.
Okay.
To do that work. I just handed Dale the geometrics tonight so he can look at the utility, but we've got a lot of the design done. I think we're beyond that 30%, but it's a good time to take a look at it, and at least with your DPW, get that kind of input, and then we can look at some of the other items that you all may be interested in. And a coordination clause will certainly be included in the bid documents to plan around any events that you guys have during the summer of 2026. So we will identify that information, and we're working with consumers right now too to see if they want to, you know, if they're going to do any upgrades. I mean, now is the time. We're going to tear the road out. We're going to replace all the utilities. So let's get it all done at once and not have any cuts in the road when we're done.
Yes, one of the things I did want to comment on is we've brought consumers and DT in months ago, so they were aware of this project. They're also involved because of the new traffic signal that'll go into the corner of St. Clair and 53 this summer. So, but the thing I wanted to touch base on, and I don't know if Jarrett can tell us now or not, because it may be at the whim of the actual contractor, but we should be able to maintain traffic throughout the entire construction till the final pave itself, right?
Yeah, we still gotta look at that. I mean, it's the logistics of the sanitary installation. You know, that's it's not deep, but it's rather deep. We're replacing the leads to the right of way line in both directions. You know, we're doing storm sewer too, but that's going to be intent is try to maintain. I mean, we got to maintain the local, but as far as the through traffic, what we can do, we'll have to work with the county on that too.
And of course, the majority of that will be done in the summer when there is no bus traffic.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Definitely with the road commission, with Kidder Road being not a full-time, and gravel trains coming in and out of East St. Clair to Elmont Road.
other questions from council?
I had a question. Are there any concerns with delays in our grant application package with things that are happening at the federal level?
Yeah, it's kind of the wild card. I mean, I think we got a good contact now. I've got a project with the EPA, with the EDA, with HUD, and I think all of them changed our main point of contact in the last couple of months.
Sure.
So at least we got a name now. I mean, he wants to have a meet and greet. We're starting over a little bit because we've already had a kickoff meeting a while ago on this, but I don't think there's going to be, I'm hoping there's not much of a delay.
Okay.
I got in writing that our money is secure and will not be touched because it was so far much prior to the current status. So I tried to get that months ago and I got it.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you so much for attending and giving us.
Not a problem.
It's news we've been looking forward to hearing about.
Yep, we'll be in touch.
I think Chief has a couple officers to introduce.
Yes, we have 2 of the 4 new officers that we have recently hired. This is Officer Scott Isaacson and Officer David Chris. You guys want to go up, introduce yourself, tell the council a little bit about yourself?
6-year Army vet, went to the police academy in '96, Detroit. Spent about 3 years there. After I left Detroit, I went to Warren, which I retired out of after 25 years in December. Been here, started in January, and I love it. It's a good change of pace. I've lived up here since 2010. Not in Almont, I live in Imlay City, so it's nice to save a little ride to work. So, but it's a good place to work. I'm enjoying it.
Well, welcome and thank you.
Thank you.
I did 25 years in Warren. I graduated from the Macomb Police Academy in 2000. I retired as a lieutenant. Officer Isaacson and I have sort of a similar history there. We both were Squad 1 detectives in Major Crimes Unit. We both did time on the road as patrol officers. And we both had a little bit of supervisory experience. We both retired as lieutenants. And I would echo what he said too. Like, it's really refreshing to be up here. I'm happy to be here. It's a nice change of pace. I live in Romeo, so I didn't save as much of a drive as Isaacson did, but it's nice. So thanks for having it.
Appreciate your guys' employment and your service that you give us. Moving on to the consent agenda. Meeting minutes from March 4th meeting. General fund?
I did have one
Okay, hold on.
minor correction.
I thought you did, but I paused for 3.
Easy to find it. Let's see, so under public comment for non-agenda items, I just thought that we should clarify. It's Ms. Paula Alfonsi raised concerns about the social district, it says noting violations. I think since nothing was actually presented, I would say noting what she alleged to be violations. Because I don't think anyone here has actually been presented with anything other than just that allegation. And the other one is super minor. Never mind, I'm good with that.
Anybody else on that? Moving on, general fund. Major streets. Or local streets. Recreation fund. DDA fund. Capital project fund. Sewer fund. Water fund, equipment fund, payroll register report, water report, DPW report. person that's around town most didn't know that they were shoveling the park path all winter. Water usage report. Wastewater treatment plant report. Police activity report. The thing Mindy has been asking for years is here. Thank you, Chief. OEO report. Construction Code Authority report. Financial position report. Clerk Treasurer monthly update. Almont Fire Department monthly report. There is no other comments on the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Support. Motion by President Pro Tem Stoeffler, supported by Councilmember Schneider to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. The motion passes with all council members in attendance. So now is the time for public comment for any item on our regular agenda. If there's any public comment for any item on our regular agenda, please step forward. There will be time for public comment on non-agenda items after the agenda. Being none, agenda item number 1, the Rural Task Force Project Resolution.
Mr. President, as you see in the packet, there is a memo outlining why we need this resolution. I reported several weeks ago that I was able to secure funding for match on our St. Clair Street project through the Rural Task Force. We had a follow-up meeting last week, and they asked me where my resolution was in support of the project, and I said, I have no idea what you're talking about. So they provided me one. I prepped it, sent it to you so you could see it. It's in the agenda. We have to commit to the state of Michigan and the Michigan Department of Transportation that we will spend the Rural Task Force money on the project that we asked for it for. So that's what this resolution does. It ensures that we will spend it as they request.
Questions or concerns from council? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to accept resolution 25-03-01, Rural Task Force Project Allocation Funds.
Motion by Councilmember Feldman, supported by President Pro Tem Stoeffler to approve resolution 25-3-01, the Rural Task Force Project. Roll call.
Powell.
Aye.
Schneider.
Aye.
Stoeffler.
Aye.
Feldman.
Aye.
Dyke.
Aye. Motion passes by all council members in attendance via roll call. Agenda item number 2, resolution supporting the application for body-worn camera grant application. Manager.
I can direct your attention to the police chief. This is his specific grant. He wrote you the memo, so I don't want to steal his thunder.
Basically, we were able to apply for a grant specifically geared towards law enforcement with the acquisition of body cameras. Obviously, there's a huge cost associated with that. We were able to get the grant in time. They actually did. The window was pretty short. It was like a 2-week window. So we didn't have a lot of time for the resolution letter, but we were able to get around that. We applied for it last week. Hopefully, we'll hear something shortly in regards to it, but it would basically replace all 10 body cameras for the current staff at the department.
So is this grant going to cover the entire cost of the 10 new, is the idea to get 10 new ones, right? Replace the existing 10 with 10 new ones? And this would cover the entire cost of that? Okay. Is it department policy now that they're required to wear them?
Yes.
Okay. And so what's department policy on retention of the body cam footage right now?
30 days.
30 days. Okay. So this is obviously going to be a significant improvement from the ones that you have now, I assume?
Very much so.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I use them and wear them frequently as well. And that's why I was just curious, because there's quite a vast variety of quality and what you can get and how you can use it. So, all right. How old are the 10 that we have now?
They were end of life, I believe it was 2016.
Sounds right. Okay. Fantastic. I certainly hope that we get the grant approved. Did you have any idea how many other departments were going to be applying for the grant?
No.
Okay. All right. That's all the questions I have. Thanks.
Anybody else in council have questions for the chief? Mr. Kerwin?
No.
Motion to approve resolution 25-03-02, resolution to support submitting the application for fiscal year 2026 appropriations for the body cameras.
I'll make the motion that we approve resolution number 25-03-02 in support of submitting an application for fiscal year 2026 appropriations.
Support.
Motion made by Councilmember Snyder, supported by Councilmember Feldman, to approve resolution 25-03-02 as stated on the record. Roll call.
Schneider,
Aye.
Steffler,
Aye.
Feldman.
Aye.
Howell.
Aye.
Dyke.
Aye. Motion passes by all council members in attendance through roll call. The added agenda item that we got this afternoon is the resolution requesting supporting funds for infrastructure improvements. Manager Kerwin.
Yes, this is a big one. We talked with our engineers the end of last week about submitting the School Street project for a earmark. We've never reached out to Senator Peters or Congresswoman Stotkin. So we felt it was a great opportunity. The engineers actually worked on it over the weekend to submit the detail. It needed to be in to Senator Peters' office by Sunday. I assured them that we wouldn't have any trouble getting letters of support, those sort of things after the fact. So it is completely acceptable to receive the resolution of support and the letters of support after the initial document was submitted. And it's not a heavily detailed document, and it was easy because we already had the plans prepared. As you guys know, you had the School Street engineered for new road, curb and gutter, water and sewer a few years ago. So, and Fleece Vanderbrink was the company that did it. So it was very easy for them to get it together and get it submitted. But we, of course, as usual, need a resolution that will commit that we will spend the money as we have requested it. And that's what our attached resolution is for. It will be initially submitted to Senator Peters, and then later this year, it will be submitted to Councilwoman Stotkin when she opens her earmark process. She hasn't done that yet. So School Street would be an amazing project to get done for the village. It's probably the worst spot in town. And I think the support we have gotten already for the project, I have a letter of support from the township, I have a letter of support from the road commission, I have a letter of support coming tomorrow from the school system. Mr. Novak has done one himself. The Bells have supplied one. The daycare at the Bells supplied one. We have one coming from the fire department. It has received overwhelming support, and those letters will, or are all supposed to be in my hands tomorrow. They didn't need to be that fast, but everybody wanted to be right on the bandwagon. So if you see in front of you the resolution covering the details of the earmark or the directed congressional spending, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to talk about them.
Questions from council?
I have a question. The $270,000 that says will be coming from local funds, is that already budgeted for this?
No, it is not. That would come out of, we would have multiple pots to pull it from. Water and sewer, we could pull it from water or from sewer or from streets or roads, or we could look for another funding source like we did with St. Clair Street, or we can just pay it out of general fund. There's lots of opportunity for us to cover that cost. And just, I don't know if you noticed, $1.35 million. It is a big lift.
It would be easier to get that done. We've been looking to do that for like 10 years now. Yeah. So good work on that. Is there any other questions or comments? Do we have a motion?
I just have one suggested change to the resolution, and maybe I missed this, but in the last whereas on page 1, it's requesting CDS funding. I didn't see that defined.
Congressional directed spending.
So that would just be my suggestion, is to include that as an edit.
Did not abbreviate and spell it out. I wouldn't disagree. Yeah. If it's not previously defined, it should be, I agree, since
Yeah,
it's a
I did see
resolution. No, I'll make the motion that we approve resolution 25-03-03 requesting funding support for infrastructure improvements with the requested modification by President Pro Tem Steffler.
It's a mouthful.
Support.
Motion by Councilmember Schneider, supported by Councilmember Powell, to approve resolution 25-03-03 as stated on the record. Roll call.
Steffler?
Aye.
Feldman?
Aye.
Powell?
Aye.
Schneider?
Aye.
Dyke?
Aye. The motion passes unanimously by all council members present through roll call. That concludes our regular agenda. Now is the time for public comment for any item that's not on the regular agenda. Do we have any public comment tonight? Seeing none, we will move on to council staff comment. Manager Curtis, do you have anything to bring to council?
Yes, I have a few items to bring you up to date on. One of the things I've been working on is, you may remember me mentioning it a few times over the last year, the Creekside property, the building, has a shore erosion problem. The shore is now within 5 feet of the building foundation. So I've been working with the Clinton River Watershed people to identify people who could in fact give proposals that would be approved by Eagle and others to shore up the bank there so that we could help them secure their building. That's been going on for a little while. I just want you to know it didn't fall off the table. An issue that has come up, which may indicate that I'm required to send a letter down the road, is that the June Drive lift station has been having difficulties with someone that feeds that unit putting towels down the system. We found yesterday afternoon that one of the pumps was completely plugged and frozen because of this. And we're going to be factoring the lift station. Couldn't get it today, but we'll be doing it to the bottom tomorrow.
Can you define by what you mean by towel?
Exactly what you're thinking, a towel.
A bath towel?
It could be, we won't know yet because we couldn't see it, but it would have to be large. So doubtful it's a bed sheet, but it could have been a bed sheet too. But this is not the first time for that lift station. There's been trouble in the past. A letter was sent a few years ago. My letter will say quite bluntly, if we have to continue to do this work, this group that is serviced by this lift station will have to receive a special assessment to cover the ongoing costs to repair the pumps, clean it, constantly monitor it so it does not clog and then back up into some of these basements. So hopefully the first letter will take care of it and we won't continue to have the trouble.
But how's it getting in there? I mean, this is somebody's flushing that, or is it somebody's opening?
Well, my last job, we had a hospital that regularly flushed towels, washcloths, all kinds of stuff. It happens. So once it's in the line, you can't get it out, after it's past the unit. So
I'm not aware of many toilets that you can flush a towel through. So
I think you'd be surprised.
okay,
I think you'd be surprised. So
I don't want to be, but
you want to be there when we pull it out?
not at all. Not at all. But thank you for the invite.
So that will be coming out. There's no doubt I'm going to have to be sending a letter to, I believe there's 244 homes that are serviced by that lift station. So that was a very unfortunate thing we had to deal with the last 24 hours, but hopefully it'll be the last time we have to deal with it.
Is that part of the cause of the contactor issues and all the other electrical stuff that was going on with that lift station, or is that
No.
independent? Okay.
Lift station actually had in the early winter months, I believe it was a raccoon chewed through the third leg of the power system, which caused it to operate on 2 out of 3 phases of power with no one knowing it. We just had massive electric flow through the 2 remaining lines instead of spread out over 3 lines. So we've burned up some contacts, some equipment. Fortunately, we haven't wrecked a pump or anything, but I've collected all the data because I'm going to be going back to either DTE or our insurance company to say, this was not our doing. We should be covered for it. So hopefully we'll be able to recoup all those costs. We still don't have it finished. So the extra heat caused I believe, the conduit between the lift station and the pump itself to heat, crack, and then they allowed water in and there's been damage that way. It's a real mess. Although we monitor it close, it's been no issue with it operating, but we have had many broken parts that kick over to the backup, and then the backups, we went in just today to replace a control that I think you're seeing in the bills. We bought 2, one as a backup, just to be safe. The electrician gets in, looks at, the other backup is completely black and burnt as bad as the one that went bad, so they just replaced them both. And we kept the parts so we can have that for a claim down the road. So, but that was a really new thing that came up last 24 hours or so, and we are working on it and hopefully get it under control. I already told you about the letters of support we've gotten for the project. The response has been overwhelming. So really appreciate that. And everybody has been quick to take the sample, modify it to their own business or activity, and get it right back to me. So we're happy about that. We are doing 2 RFPs. One is for cleaning of the facilities, police department, our building, and we're doing an RFP for the operation of the wastewater treatment plant. We'll direct mail to people who are in the business that do that work, and then we'll publish an opportunity for people to bid as well. We are getting a sidewalk grinding bid. As you recall, one of our top priorities when we had the meetings with the public last year were improved sidewalks. I've been noting that we have some bad sidewalk, but mostly the problems are heaves for any number of reasons throughout town. We are getting a bid from a sidewalk company that grinds those, cuts them off. They're very effective and fast. They do great work. I've had a lot of experience with them myself. But they are going to come in next week, look at what we have, give us a citywide proposal for grinding or cutting any and all lifts on sidewalk edges so we can take all those trip hazards right out of the equation,
It would be village-wide.
village-wide.
And we did that probably, Steve, what, about 2008 maybe? We did that in 2008. It was really successful.
Same company.
And I noticed when
Turns
when I was out and about this weekend that there was a couple places where we did it where they could be used again. So that,
I noticed one on Kidder by a tree that is enormous.
that's good to hear.
So that, we'll get that bid together next week, hopefully. And then something I wanted to mention, the township came to me and said, hey, we're trying to get additional high-speed internet through the corners and nooks and crannies of the township. We have reached out to a company that's looking at doing countywide work. Would you give us a letter of support? So on behalf of the village, I wrote a letter of support to the township for their effort to propose this company continue its work. And I think that company is looking for a grant, so they would include our letter of support in the project. But I wanted you to know I did that. And that's everything.
Chief Willis, do you have anything?
Couple of things. One, we had our lien audit last week. We had some minor issues. Actually, there were only 4. 3 were forms that were filled out by our IT service. They were already corrected. The 4th is just how the officers are entering certain codes. So we just put out a refresher cheat sheet for the officers. So we went from the last lien audit of just over 6 pages of issues to 1 and a quarter. And so they'll be all corrected by next week. Then, like I said, 3 of the 4 have already been corrected. We had the correct forms filled out within 3 days. And then the only other thing I want to mention is the jake breaking. Hopefully that'll be, my guys have been trying to hit that quite a bit. We've been issuing citations for that. We started with a couple of verbal warnings, but then since then we've been issuing citations. So hopefully we can start curbing that. That's it for me.
Treasurer Kiesler, do you have anything for your council? Councilmember Feldman.
There's a couple of repeat offenders who like to see how far they can push that jake breaking on East St. Clair, so you know. They really like to do that about 8:30 in the morning.
Okay.
Living right on the curve, I hear the jake break only about, every 25 minutes.
Well, we're 25 steps ahead of where we were 3 years ago.
Yes, yes.
Absolutely.
So thank you, Chief.
Just 2 questions, actually. Zot Drive. Are we able to enforce speed on Zot Drive, or is that still considered a private road? Zot Drive is between the high school, middle school, and OP. It's 15 miles an hour, and if you walk on that road, you will get run down at much faster speeds.
So it's not a local street, and you would say it's private property if it weren't owned publicly.
Well,
It's still public.
Well, it is considered private property. We do have a letter from the school that Mr. Curvis is dealing with right now with the council to give us the proper authority to enforce all basically laws in the parking lot on school grounds, whether it's speeding, stop signs, or whatever.
Awesome. I just have a generalized question. I would understand if it was owned by an individual or a company, we call it private property right there. But who owns that land?
School district.
The school district, which would make it public and not private?
So my belief there is that we'll be able to write civil infractions on that area, which will act just like a ticket. It's all virtually the same thing, but it doesn't necessarily give you a record, but you will pay a stiff fine. And
Sure.
it can be enforced because it's a local community infraction. An
For sure.
ordinance infraction.
For sure. I just don't think that there should be a distinction in it being private property because it's publicly owned, right? I mean, so I don't see how it's not.
The reason I ask is because it's getting warm out again.
Mm-hmm.
As we all know, our friendly golf carts are out there. Little kids on golf carts again the other day. So,
People flying through there after hours.
15,
4 hours.
16, 17-year-old young ladies and gentlemen, just like the ones in the audience, like to go a lot faster than 15 miles an hour.
The audience are responsible.
Well, yes, those ones are, but there are others that aren't. So that's one question. I didn't know if we could do that. And then the second was I did see, I think in an update in the last few weeks about ticket revenue. I know that one of the things that we've always said is we don't write a lot of tickets in Elmont because it goes to the county and the county prosecutor fights it. And so we just don't bother with it. And I think that's maybe changing.
We'll see.
Okay.
Mr. President, we've been discussing ticket revenue a lot, the chief and I, and one of the problems that we face is the cost to litigate our tickets. We've worked with the city attorney on compiling, doing everything on one day, if it's one day a week, one day a month, whatever it takes. The court has now agreed to do that with our attorney. We are analyzing cost versus benefits. Still, it's going to take a while because it takes a while for tickets to get processed and so on, but we are watching it. We want to know that it's successful for us so we do actually see revenue, but that isn't our goal, but we don't want to go backward necessarily.
Yeah, I personally am not worried about the revenue piece as much as the
Deterrent.
Yeah, let's
totally agree.
control our speed in town. There is a speed limit. Let's not drive like maniacs and cause accidents because they cost a lot of money, not only for us but for other people as well.
Well, and what I wanted to point out, that chief didn't toot his own horn, but they have been doing directed patrolling in the school zone and have had very high success rate. So I drove it today and everybody was being perfect when I went through there right at school time. So the word is getting out.
No, but I agree with Councilmember Feldman. I mean, it certainly is your job, and I certainly appreciate that you're considering the economics of it, trying to make sure that it's not a net loss for us. But I think our concern was greater, wanting to make sure that those tickets are being issued regardless of whether or not there's revenue loss, to make sure that the deterrent is there, because it is well known that we haven't been issuing tickets as much for a long time. I don't necessarily think that I agree with the previous justification of why, but nonetheless, happy that that's trending in the right direction.
That's
Anything
all.
else, Councilmember Paul?
Nope, that's all I had.
Councilmember Schneider.
Two quick things. One, Manager Curbison, can you tell us what's going on with the recycling bins out back? I know that there was maybe something different going to happen before the parking lot. I know the parking lot's coming up again, so.
So just today I got the last, well, we're hoping for 4 bids. We have our 3 bids to redo the parking lot here at Village Township Hall. That side is going to have to be, receive extra asphalt, extra base because of those heavy garbage trucks that come and go. The township was looking into removing those or moving them to another place, but specifically they were looking at ending the agreement. As they dug into it with their attorney, with the environmental company, with another trash hauler, they cannot end the contract for over 2 years. They have over 2 years left on. A contract was signed, I don't know how recently, but it was on the front page, a 3-year contract, on the back page, a 7-year contract. They were ruled or found out that the back page doesn't count, it's the front page. So they have over 2 years left on that contract, so they cannot get rid of those dumpsters at this time.
Awesome. Okay. The other question was kind of more related to the IT. I know we were thinking about doing an RFP for our IT work. When does that come up and when's that happening?
I would kind of look at Kim, she's our go-to IT, which makes her furious. So we have a couple of people that are helping us. We have not done an RFP for that yet.
My question, and I'm aware we haven't done one yet, just that's coming up soon?
Yes, I believe the contract is up in July. Don't quote me, but it's.
Okay, and I know we're slated to replace most of the village's computers this year. It's budgeted for this year, and I'm assuming you want to get potentially whoever's going to be providing IT services to provide quotes and analysis as to what we're going to be replacing everything with. Okay, I want to see those before we make a final purchase, because I wasn't happy when we got our last fleet, which is, outdated, not working well. It makes the system crash, can't run meetings. It's irritating. I just want to see those before those go out.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you. That's it.
President Pro Tem Stefan.
Yeah, just a few things. Just mini park update. The daffodils are starting to come up, so that's exciting. Won't be in bloom yet for another month or so, but they're just starting to peek their way out of the ground, so looking forward to that. And then just a reminder for Earth Day cleanup for folks, if you're interested, please head over to the Facebook page and sign up. I wanted to let you know in advance I won't be here at the next meeting. I'll be on vacation. And so would request, if we were planning on talking about water bills, that we would do it after I get back. I appreciate that. To return to your update about June Drive, I think it would be really good to use as a reminder village-wide about so-called flushable wipes, which are not. So I think visuals are helpful. So getting pictures of what they pull out of that pump station, I think
We
would
have
be-
them on the website, so
yeah,
we can just
from when
put them
they-
on
I mean, because that's a
Facebook.
problem
Yeah.
there constantly.
Yeah.
So I think that's another good reminder. Hey, June Drive especially, but village-wide, like that's an impactful thing on your water and sewer bill if we have to keep fishing those things out of our system. They're very damaging. So just because it says flushable absolutely means nothing. They are not. So be good if we resurrect that, or if we can even get the paper to cover it. I think it'd be really helpful just to get the word out. What else? Just wanted to mention also that when we were talking about the speeding through town on the trucks, Monday morning, like a double tractor trailer thing blew through that red light. It was a full second of it being green. I mean, could have killed somebody. Like that intersection really, we got to do something about it, particularly the trucks running that light. I mean, could have saw somebody get killed on Monday.
I know we've had two of our officers really turning that intersection in the last couple of weeks. They haven't been able to catch any of the semis blowing through, but then again, it is sometimes hard to hide the police car. But I know they've been watching the light pretty hard these last couple of weeks, because we've had other people mention it to us.
Yeah, I definitely have noticed people getting pulled over on the main street. So that's part of it, right? It's just that deterrent. So, yeah, if you can keep up on that effort, we appreciate it. And that's all.
Councilmember Paul.
All set.
The DDA Council Committee has met several times. We've got prioritized initiatives we're working on. We've included current topics on each agenda with stuff popping up that we were addressing as it happens. and we're meeting again tomorrow night. Police presence, I'm hearing it from people and I'm seeing it all over town like we haven't seen it in years. Just wherever you go, it's there, so thank you. And the DPW, same thing, when I'm out and about midday, lunch break, they're out doing their thing. So just thanks for everybody on the road staff for doing what they do. And we are adjourned, and responsible students who did not speed, come up and get your agenda signed.
I'm gonna have to go out and look at some cards.